Call the Village of Johnsburg May 1st regular meeting of the President and Trustees to order at 7:07. On the roll, Trustee Hutchinson.
Here.
Trustee McBoy.
Present.
Trustee Curry.
Here.
Trustee Hagan.
Here.
And we'll stand for the roll, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
From the floor.
Hi there. I'm Tom Liston. I'm coming to represent Citizens Against the Solar Complex. That's that piece of property out on the corner of Ringwood Road and South Solon Road, where we have a company that's coming in. The company's name is Cypress Creek, and they're wanting to put a 41 acres of solar panels out there. We just wanted to give you a quick update from the zoning Board of Appeals meetings that we've been attending. This is the last Wednesday was the second one that we've attended. Cypress Creek, which is the company that's looking to do this, has been presenting now for 6 hours, and don't seem to be slowing down at all, do they? No. So we're expecting at least one more hearing, potentially two more hearings, before we'll be able to actually present our side. The reason that I came here tonight to talk to you was that you all had sent a letter from the village stating that this potential construction out there really did not fit well with your long-range plan. At this last meeting, there was a gentleman, and my wife has told me I have to refer to him as a gentleman, from Cypress Creek, who is their land use expert. And he came in to the meeting and explained several times that he had a degree from Harvard. He told us that multiple times during the course of the presentation that he did. And the upshot of what he said was that this solar complex does not conflict with the county's 2030 plan, in his professional opinion. That wasn't so bad, except that he went on then to say also that he didn't see any way that it could possibly conflict with any of the municipalities' long-term plans as well. And at that point, there was an exchange between him and one of the other, his name is Scott Jacobson. He's a member of the ZBA who asked him to explain that, how it was that he didn't believe that it was in conflict with the municipalities. I have to grab a couple more here, otherwise I'm going to run out. Long-range plan. I don't know if you want me to read this or if you can read it yourselves. He's not very gentlemanly, let's put it that way. In how he talks about the municipalities and their ability to do long-range planning, and what he thinks of the municipalities' ability to do long-range planning. I know, John, you wanted to talk a little bit about what Johnsburg's long-range plan, the actual process involved in that, but I was offended for you when I was at that meeting when he said this, and I hope that, in reading over that, we wanted to thank you very, very much, first of all, for giving us that letter to begin with, saying that you felt that it conflicted with your long-range plans. We kind of felt like we needed to come back to you, at least give you a quick update as to where things stand, let you know how this is kind of playing out from Cypress Creek's side of things. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. We would love to have you participate in this meeting as much as possible. If you guys can send somebody there to at least stand up for yourselves a little bit. When we were not expecting this gentleman to come in and say that. I mean, I know he's a paid expert, and we kind of expected that he would say that he felt that it didn't conflict with McHenry County's planning, but I was very, very shocked that he would stand up there and say that he knew better than the municipalities that have all said. We have Johnsburg, Ringwood, and Spring Grove on the record as saying that this conflicts with their long-range planning, and this gentleman just dismissed that out of hand. John, do you want to?
Yeah, I just would like to share something with you about, as all of you know, I was a trustee here for 24 years, and I had the honor of being a trustee under the guidance of Dave Dominguez and Ed Hederman. And when the village was first formed, all the old guys that were here knew the importance of how we were going to be planning our village. Spent years of time prior to the village becoming a village, and then countless man-hours, dollars, professional people, land planners, engineers, doing a really comprehensive plan for our boundaries proper right now. And we were lucky enough to come up with a very, very strong plan. And the benefit of that planning, there were two really big benefits that the village has experienced by this planning, was the Route 31 corridor, which wasn't in the village of Johnsburg, but we developed a plan in such a way so that we submitted these to the governing bodies that control county planning and all of the Chicago and suburban planning, which is the Northeastern Illinois Planning Commission. That was printed in their document, and the people that were investors saw the benefit of what we were trying to do out in the Route 31 corridor, the uses that we had planned out there, the strategies that we had for housing, and all of a sudden here come people with money saying, we want to build some retail properties in your corridor. JCPenney, Walmart were two of the big ones that were triggered because of that, I believe. What I'm really getting at, though, and obviously the planning, the unbelievable amount of planning we did for the downtown, which is now really coming to a beautiful fruition. It's just, can't tell you how proud I am and how proud the residents are. I hear it time and time again. So under the leadership of Dave Dominguez and under the leadership of Ed, planning has always been at the forefront. You know, if you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you're going to be doing when somebody says, I want to do something else. And the village, and I'm sure maybe the newer trustees don't realize this, but, you know, we're mandated to come up with a comprehensive plan by state statute. And under that control, there's a 1.5-mile boundary outside of our villages, outside of our village municipal boundaries that we were responsible for long-range planning, what we foresee as the future for that area. And in today's world, when you think about that, we are now pretty much landlocked to the south. We are pretty much landlocked to the west. We have development opportunities to the west. We are pretty much landlocked to the east, and we are pretty much landlocked to the northeast. So the only growth opportunities that Johnsburg has is to the north and northwest, which is right in the area of what we're talking about. And this 1.5-mile boundary, our village, rightfully so, decided that we believe that, under the guidance of our advisors, that there should be low-density housing. And this really conformed pretty much to what the county had also. And I believe the county's plan has that in their plan also. It also is in the plan for Spring Grove, and it's also in the same plan for Ringwood. All three of those are municipalities, Johnsburg, Spring Grove, and Ringwood, submitted a objection letter stating it conflicts with our long-range planning and our planning area. And this gentleman comes before the zoning board and discredits the whole process. Says we don't know what we're talking about, like we're a bunch of podunks. It really, you know, even from the get-go, even before we got to this stage, I wanted to attack this thing from the perspective on planning, because it didn't meet anybody's plan. What happened here is that a very wealthy man came in and bought distressed property from a bank all over the county, and says, I want to put solar farms on these distressed properties. And irregardless of what the other municipalities have planned for their future, I think it belongs there. And lo and behold, there's a conditional use authority under the county zoning ordinance that gives them the right to petition for this conditional use. Now, if you didn't know better what this thing is going to look like, you'd say, well, this is wonderful. It's a renewable resource, solar energy, plants, flowers, butterflies. That's the way they're proposing this whole thing. But this thing is going to be surrounded by 7 foot of cyclone fence covered by barbed wire, because this is a security issue. This is a power generating facility. They don't want people coming in there and vandalizing their equipment, so they got to keep people out.
One thing at the last meeting, they're not going to put the barbed wire at the top, but now it's going to be an 8-foot tall fence.
Oh, it's going to be an 8-foot tall fence, so it doesn't look like a prison yard as much as it did before. So, from our perspective, I think that I really wanted to alert you about this. I think that you really need to keep your antennas up about our growth opportunities to the north and the northwest, because without it, we are in trouble. Long range over the horizon, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, when we're probably you're all going to be off of this board. Maybe some of you won't. But the future of Johnsburg's at stake here. And there's people saying that these renewable energy sources are going to benefit everybody. Well, they're going to be sold on the open market. It's a commodity, and there's going to be very, very little benefit to the residents of our area. I don't think that anybody is against solar energy. I would be crazy to be against it, but the siting of this thing is the most important part. McHenry County has always stated that they believe that their large farmland parcels west of 47 are the Holy Grail, and they really want to protect those, because there's too much development going in on the east side of 47. And they know the farmlands are going to be developed into something different. So west of 47, I believe, is where these things should be sited. Put them in the middle of a 700-acre farm that the farmer can reap the money from the lease on it, can raise his crops around it, and it's not going to interfere with any future planning as far as jeopardizing any kind of the municipal growth. So, one thing I'd just like to share is I think it's really important is I would encourage the village to continue to update its comprehensive plan. I know it probably needs to get looked at, and I don't know how aggressive you want to be on it, but I think it really needs to get addressed, sometime in the future, because of the issues that are going out there. The people that have farms out there know what our planned use is out there. They know what Spring Grove's plans are out there. They know what Ringwood's plans are out there. They trust those plans. That doesn't mean these plans can't change, but when they change to the extent that it really has a negative impact on the rest of the developable properties, I think that's really a big issue, and I think it's coming. Now, there will be people that debate that, but when you've got a 40-acre cyclone fenced property that is, the question is going to be how it's going to be maintained landscaping-wise, noxious weeds, trees growing up, all kinds of stuff. I really would hope that you guys can stay strong on these issues. I don't know what we can expect from you any more than what we've gotten from you in the past, but I think you really need to be brought up to date about what they're saying about our planning process and how they disregard it, and how I think the county is allowing it to happen. Okay? So, that's all I have to say.
John, District 4 county board members, what their feelings are?
The committee's been in touch with them hard with letters and big contacts.
We've had members of the county board, all District 4 members, I think except for one who's been at one of our meetings. So they've all been to at least one of our meetings.
What's your feeling?
They are very, very strongly in our corner on this.
They're very strongly
in our corner on this.
Okay.
And in fact have tried to give us advice and tell us how we need to proceed and what things the county board members' biggest issue is, make sure that we have something we can legally hang our hat on when we say we don't want this there. Because it can't just be about, it's not pretty, or it can't be about that.
Not my backyard.
Right, not my backyard thing. It really has to come down to it, and there's a list of, I think, 10 different criteria a conditional use needs to meet, and it really needs to come down to one or more of those 10 issues. And the biggest one for us is that it conflicts with the current or long-range planning for properties in this area, in the surrounding area.
Has the issue come up that if we have said it doesn't meet our planning, and Spring Grove has said that, and Ringwood has said that, and we all intersect at that spot, okay, that it takes a supermajority to override that?
Yes.
That has been brought up. A gentleman from Jack Frank's office, and just to throw this out there, Jack is also on our side on this. He's come out publicly and said that it's a good idea but the wrong place. A gentleman from Jack Frank's office I talked to, everything's all meshing together in my head now, but it was probably over the last couple of weeks. He said, when I told him that we had letters from Johnsburg, Ringwood, and Spring Grove, as well as the McHenry Township, he said, "Oh, I'm not a parliamentarian, but I'm pretty sure that triggers the need for a supermajority when it comes to," and he said he was going to check into that and would let us know. But
Yeah, so two thoughts. I think, keep in mind, this should be set forth in the county ordinance that said if you receive an objection from a municipality, even though our zoning authority doesn't go a mile and a half, our planning subdivision authority does, that should trigger the supermajority requirement. The second thing to look at is state law, probably reflected in the county ordinance, also reflects that if you get the owners of 20% of the frontage across the street surrounding the property, that will trigger a supermajority requirement. The other thing to keep in mind is, notwithstanding the fact that they may have criteria for special uses in there, that, there's a public health welfare benefit to it, that there is no adverse impact to the neighborhood, like you find with a gravel pit or Rick Quinn's example, an Irish bar. But keep in mind, what state law provides is, whatever they put in the ordinance, the state law provides, the first thing a judge will look at is, what is the trend of development in that area? The first thing, what's it surrounded by? And think of yourself as being a judge who, although the judge may not have the benefit of a Harvard degree from the School of Design, just common sense, what surrounds the property? But the second factor that a court is to look at is that comprehensive plan. So, I would dig in your heels and that first factor, say, this is what is there. There's a single-family residential subdivision, agriculture, it's not electrical generating facilities. Keep in mind, and that's online, that's the LaSalle versus Cook County case, but focus on that. And then two, keep in mind too, do a good job at the lower level, at the recommended body, but at the end of the day, if this ends up in court, it's a clean slate.
okay.
You can introduce any evidence, you can introduce any witness you want. This is different than it was 10 years ago when the appellate court reversed Illinois law regarding this and said, okay, from now on, you only can bring up evidence that was brought at the hearing. The legislature rewrote the statute saying the appellate court was wrong, they overreached. And so you get a clean slate. So yes, support the decision, but focus on the political aspect. But whatever you want to put into court, it's a whole new game. It's nothing to hang hats on. You're starting with a clean slate at the court level. So this is good, but keep in mind, there's a lot of deference given to the county because ultimately it's a legislative decision. Legislative means if it's a reasonably debatable issue, the municipality wins. Or in this case, the county, the unit of local government. So just bear that in mind.
Okay.
In regards to what's been developed out there, Michael, is that on the south side of Ringwood Road, except for two farms, one small farm and one Lark Tom King's Farm, the Dale Friends Farm, all properties on the south have been developed residential estate, all the way into Ringwood, all the way down the road.
And that's going to be the trend of development, because, I mean, you know firsthand, when you're handicapped by, in terms of attracting retail, you're handicapped by the lack of public sewer, public water. What is the trend of development going to be out there? It's not going to be a Walmart, it's not going to be a Walgreens. And so it'll probably be residential, because that's what's out there. That's, you don't want to be surrounded by industrial or, and so I focus on that common sense. And I understand, I studied at the Harvard School of Design, may come in here and be obnoxious and try to intimidate people. But at some point, I think the county has to take a common sense approach and say, it's not what's surrounding in that area. And they do have a lot of discretion. I don't know if there's already a text amendment which calls this a special use, or if they're asking for a text amendment and then it be applied to the property, but there's a lot of discretion on the part of the county. And the county has a lot of resources to defend itself. So, I mean, even if there's a suit by Cypress and the Athens family, there's 40 attorneys up there who work for free at taxpayer expense. to
Attorneys
defend the
work for
county.
free.
In a different world. It is, it brings a tear to my eye as well.
Come to the RP.
I mean, they shouldn't be, they can defend themselves, and again, if it's reasonably debatable as to what the county's decision is, they prevail. So,
Well, the other thing is, you know, we've only got one east-west road in pretty much in the whole boundaries of Johnsburg. Ringwood Road is a big-time east-west corridor, transportation-wise, that really is an important road for Johnsburg to be planning for. So, another reason why I hope you revisit this, our comp plan again sometime in the future and really trigger it on it, so,
We'll do that.
thank you.
We have a draft letter put together, we're gonna expand on it again to our follow-up to our
Thank you very much.
March 27th letter, okay? And, I'll just hit a couple of the things, but, previously stated it's against the comprehensive land use plan. We believe that the proposed use will not only adversely affect current surrounding areas, but will also substantially diminish the desirability of developing the surrounding vacant parcels in the low-density residential fashion plan for that area. And then we hit on some bullet points that were your concerns, and we go into, in the event that the county board buys supermajority, we want to emphasize the supermajority because I was told that by somebody from the Economic Development Committee that they didn't need to have a supermajority, they could do it anyways, but that's besides the point. And Alexa approved the request. We asked that the following conditions be placed upon the approval. An SSA be established to cover the cost of the site maintenance in the event that the property owners fail to maintain the site, because that was a concern. Proper security be posted in the form of a letter of credit, not a bond, because then you got an irrevocable letter of credit that they can pull to cover the cost of future removal and remediation of the site. Appropriate berms, fencing, and landscaping surround the entire site to provide appropriate buffering between the surrounding uses. Adequate setbacks be provided to ensure the use does not negatively affect surrounding properties. So, you know, we're trying to reinforce that they need the supermajority. Everybody's telling me that but one person. And that if they decide that override and have a supermajority, that those concerns that you guys were asked about are at least addressed.
Thank you very much.
So,
And you may want to add one more thing, that the county requires gravel pit owners to put in, which is a property value bond. They require that of the gravel pit operator owners, so that if it's proven that the property values drop, they can call those bonds in and use that money to offset. And that happened on a project that I worked on in Hebron. The surrounding property owners, the actual owner had to go to his bank, get a letter of credit, and it was specifically set aside for property value. Remember, Michael, I kind of shared that idea with you on the other project, but that's in the county's ordinance. So just ask them in your letter to include that if that is a requirement, because then the folks along the south side and anybody around the perimeter, it's actually a cash bond that sits there until the thing is done, finished, accepted, and converted back. But that's in a gravel pit function, but still, throw it in there.
And does the village still own that 15 acres?
Yes.
Right across the street?
It's 18, I think.
17 or some change.
I was gonna say, I think it's.
Yeah,
Right there.
Really to the west, right?
Good.
And I think we can also expand, John, on some of the points you brought up too about all the efforts that have gone through, the village put forth in developing our comprehensive plan, the expertise that went into it too, to kind of help refute some of this as well.
Could we name some of the professional land use planners that we use in your letter? Will that
I mean,
matter? Can we
why
do
not?
that? Does that have some bearing? I mean, we just didn't do this in-house.
No. And we spent a lot
Yes.
of time and money
You
doing it.
better believe it, we did.
Well, and collectively, the community came out and had
Right.
input on it too,
Yeah.
so it was certainly the voice of the community.
The only reason I bring that up is because they seem to respect professional people. This guy's throwing this dart at us as
Yeah.
we're a little town of 6,000 people, what do we know?
But I can give you the names of NIPSI, which is now CMAP, the Urban Land Institute, Pesca and Associates,
Sure.
our licensed planners. Spring Grove utilized NIU and the programs there. And, we could name the universities, name all this. Again, it doesn't hurt. And the county just, they have their UDO. They brought in consulting firms from all over the country. So, again, load it up and put it in there.
Good, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, one other question. So I understand this company or this gentleman has purchased multiple parcels around the county.
Yes.
So do you have any idea of where those municipalities that are going to be affected by them, are they fighting it? Or are they...
Spring Grove, I believe, has one up near that he owns that is, it's not been actually taken to the board yet or anything, but it's in the works.
Ringo, Michael, right?
Marengo.
Yeah, I thought there was one in Marengo.
There's one in Marengo. I'm not sure if
It's a different company.
I think it's a
Oh,
different
different
company.
Different company,
Yeah.
way out on 20,
Yeah.
5 miles out.
Right out where it should be, probably.
This is the first one that we know of
We've been asking.
within the county itself. I mean, there's other ones in municipalities.
So their strategy would be is to get this first one through, set the precedent,
That's
and
the
then they
problem.
start March.
That's what we're worried about, because our precedent's gonna set it.
But there also have to be fairly close to within a half mile or less of the high power lines to connect.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense to go miles.
Right.
So their strategy around the county was to find the main line
Reduce
grid.
their cost.
Now, and I will tell you also, I spoke to another gentleman who's in the same business, as Cypress Creek. He does not like Cypress Creek at all. And his point was, the only reason that they went here was, first of all, as you said, it has some nearness to a high power line. But the other thing he said is Cypress Creek's lease arrangement, and they lease all of this land, they don't purchase it, they lease it. That their lease arrangements are so onerous that they can only find very few people who will actually accept their leases. So.
And even though
They're an LLC leasing.
And even though the county will approve this, and they'll get their, I'll say blessings, there is still no guarantee that the authority that says
Will let
you
them
can
put it in.
sell this on the grid,
Yeah.
that takes years.
Yeah, right.
That's out of the-
Yeah, that's-
But the problem is, even if they never get it, it's still gonna have that same chilling effect out there,
For future development.
Is there any advantages to the county getting it? I mean, is there a tax advantage to them?
No,
it's-
not very
Well, I
much.
heard that there's an advantage, okay, at a, NACOG meeting that I was sitting with a gentleman that said there's an advantage to the school district. And I was wondering what that would be, just
It's
because
zoned
the,
industrial.
those industrial,
But it will
agriculture.
maintain, this is, what they're asking is to maintain the agricultural zoning on the land. The improvements on the property, so they're gonna put several hundred, well, not hundred, several $1 million worth of equipment on the property. The improvements to the property are going to be taxed at a level set not by the local assessor, but by the state. The state is working with them to come up with some sort of a factor on which they're going to be taxing the improvements to the property. The gentleman at the meeting the other day said he believes that the parcel right now is bringing in about $1,000, $1,100, $1,200 worth of property taxes. He said he believes that the property will be generating $20-some thousand worth of real estate taxes, which is nothing compared to if you were to put houses on that same property. Of course, you get costs associated with that. The other thing is, they are talking about allowing people to subscribe to this, what they're calling community plan. What it is, how many people here have ever had the letters that you get at your house where there is a co-op that you're going to be able to buy electricity through? That's exactly what this is. It has little to nothing to actually do with the fact that they're generating power out there. They're just also at the same time going to be setting up an electrical co-op. Anybody in the state of Illinois can subscribe to it. It's not just the people out here.
The point of sale, we're only going to use like 3.5 megawatts out of there.
Yeah.
And the point of sale is wherever the deal is done.
Yes.
So if that company is in Wisconsin, that's where the sales tax goes. It's not coming here.
And this company's from California.
Well, yes.
Well, I mean, they're gonna sync it to whoever's going to.
Right. So there's not going to be a sales tax that's going to be generated off of this. There will be, like I said, they will tax based on the improvements to the property, but the actual multiplier for that is being set by the state of Illinois, not set by any local.
And I think one calculation that maybe we need to work on is what the value is of the crops, the retail, or the value, the dollar value of the crops that are being generated on that property. I don't know if we shared this with you, that property is rated 88 out of 100 as far as prime farmland is concerned, which is extremely high. So that property is generating some serious profits, and I guess whatever the value of that might be, that's going to be lost. Now that value goes to the farmer. That farmer spends that money in the county. He spends it on Route 31 corridor, spends it in Spring Grove, spends it all over the place. That's going to be lost.
Because McHenry County's Planning and Development issued a report, or they traditionally would provide a report. Dennis Sandquist and his team would provide a report to that planning and zoning board with their opinion based on all the submittals, and he compares I don't know, I think it's Lisa, the Lisa
Yes,
value
so the
score.
Lisa value for this is 88.
Okay, so there's a Lisa score.
Yes.
There's the 10 criteria.
Yes.
There's the county UDO. There's the letters from all the towns. He bundles that together, and they make a recommendation. Have you seen that yet?
They haven't presented that.
We've seen a McHenry County environmental report about.
It's just soil and water
Yeah, so
conservation.
where they talked about the Lisa value. Yeah, we haven't seen anything.
It's an
like
NRI,
that.
natural resources.
Yes,
into it.
yes,
Done by McHenry County Soil and Water.
yeah.
So he takes that, he takes all this good data, and at the back of it, his recommendation is, traditionally,
Yeah.
it's not consistent with their UDO, it's not consistent with the communities, therefore they don't recommend it, but it still
We've
goes.
not seen anything like that. Does that go to the ZBA or does
Yes,
that go to
it
the
does.
county board?
It goes to the ZBA and the county board.
I'd like to go back to one thing that Ed alluded to about the economic development chairman, alluded to him that our school district is going to save a tremendous amount of money
It's
on.
only if it gets zoned industrial and it's a whole.
Well, because of the co-op thing, I think there might be something in this, if they sign up, I think schools and non-profit may get something. I was doing some research on
Yes,
it.
been the Marengo one, what the benefit to the citizens were, at the time we were told nothing. And then we even said, well, could you work with us to put up solar panels to help offset our costs at the treatment plant?
Right.
When they first started, it was sure, and all of a sudden they're getting into it, and they're like, not at this time.
Yeah.
We, like I said, the only benefit that they've been touting is this co-op. And as I said, that's That's, anybody in the state of Illinois, anybody who's a Commonwealth Edison subscriber can subscribe to that co-op. It's nothing to do with the fact that you're in
You can-
the area.
Yeah, but if the head of the EDC is promoting that way, that's pretty powerful stuff. He can be talking to people like he talked to Ed, and makes, you know, these discussions mean a lot on him.
Well, again, thank you very much
Yeah,
for
thanks for that.
helping us out with this.
I had an email from a private resident asking that we present both sides of the issue in an e-blast, the benefits of a solar farm and blah, 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 blah. And we just want to know that it says that it comes from the McHenry County Defenders, and I don't know if
The
it's...
defenders are supporting
The
this.
defenders are supporting.
Okay, so it's
Simply
probably...
because
For the obvious reasons.
Solar in it.
They're not against, no houses being built out there, you know that.
Right. Well,
Conservation, how they put some on their properties.
That's exactly what I'm with you.
They got-
Every time I drive past that, they
Conservation,
clearly deal out there.
conservation,
That was
if they
awfully
had a
right.
conservation property, certainly would make sense, doesn't it?
it would make sense.
Every time I drive past that big prairie on 31 North out there,
Yeah.
I think to myself, boy, you could put a lot of solar panels out there.
Yeah, just think of it.
So,
Okay.
and I think
Thanks
you
for your
guys
time.
made the issue too, that it's not like you're against it, it's
No,
just the
absolutely
location.
not.
Exactly, yeah.
So, okay,
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Are you here on that issue?
Yes.
On that issue?
No, not that, no, I'm sorry, I'm not here for the...
JBL.
JBL.
Okay, JBL. We're not listening, them guys at Tom talk to me. No. Okay, that's it. Can we have a motion on this agenda?
So moved.
A motion by trustee Curry, seconded by trustee McAvoy. Discussion on the motion. Anybody want anything pulled? Anybody want anything pulled? If there being none, trustee Clemson. Trustee Hagan. Trustee Curry. Trustee McAvoy and trustee Hutchinson. Motion carried. Just one thing I want to mention is the ICC public hearing at Johnsburg High School, 7 o'clock on Monday. You know, we've written a letter and asked for that hearing. And the people that are on the Whispering Hills have their water supplied by the Whispering Hills Water Company may want to be in attendance, the voice of opinion. Pardon me?
Oh, yeah. I
And
got a bill for the utility company.
we I had a conversation with Mr., I'm trying to think of his name, the president of Holiday Hills, Frank?
French. Lou
French,
French.
yeah, Lou French, yeah.
French.
Lou French, president of Holiday Hills. He is, they've been experiencing the same type of problems with them that we have. The rates are going up, and they keep saying it's because of infrastructure, and it's like down here where the pipe breaks 2 feet apart, and they keep...
We don't have any buffalo boxes on my street. The only time you get a buffalo box, like the telescopic coming up, the only time you get one is when you get a break. And then the idiots are out there looking all over, where's the buffalo boxes? There ain't any. I've been here since '62, and there's never been,
The buffalo box.
never.
So if they get a break, they put it in at that time.
Yeah, and you know, it happened to me in 2014. I had a break New Year's Eve under the house.
Oh,
And-
no.
Yeah, and the idiot come out from the utility company and put a sleeve on the break before the meter. Put a sleeve on about like that. It lasted 3 hours. So I called utility, nobody answered. So I called Phoenix, Arizona, New Year's Day, and I happened to get a hold of John, and he was the supervisor for Chicagoland area. He said, I'll get McHenry Well and Pump, come out to your house today. They came out and they dug up my whole yard to find the water line. Then they put a buffalo box with a telescopic riser in my yard. And it's mine. And the water company didn't do a damn thing about it. They told me I had one, and I said, there is none. 6 of my neighbors have water breaks, and that's the only way they can shut the water off, is dig 8 feet down. The main line is 8 feet down. And they had to dig down to 6 of my neighbors and put buffalo boxes in.
Well, I think that's
I got all the proof, and boy, let's...
part of the frustration of everybody that they keep saying they're gonna, upgrade the infrastructure and the lines and everything, and that never happens.
No.
So, and then, but the rates.
Well, they had garden hose down here. They had garden hose along here. Al May put it in.
Is that an approved water line, Jim?
Not at this time. Could be added to the...
Thanks. But, so I think it's all good if we, would be at that hearing to support our residents. New business, anybody have some new business that they want to bring up? Okay. Johnsburg Boys Baseball League. Are you leading this discussion, Tom, or did you have to bring somebody in to help you?
Mr. Welsh is with the JVBL.
On a far lighter note than most of the conversation tonight, I'm here on behalf, my name is Matthew Welch, I'm here on behalf of Johnsburg Boys Baseball. Thank you for letting me, putting me on the agenda for this evening. I have an invoice here that I was going to submit and hope that we could pay half, and also that you guys would chip in half for a new portable pitching mound to go at Hiller, 8-inch rise on that mound for Bronco and pony level baseball. Unfortunately, from our perspective, unfortunately, with all the work that got done up there to allow softball to play, the pitcher mound had to come out, which is great for softball, but then it left us without being able to use that field any longer. So this was a compromise through some different conversations with Tom to come up with some different ideas what we could do so that we were still able to utilize those fields. I apologize, I don't have enough for everybody, a copy of the invoice. I've got 6. And I know Tom doesn't need one because I can email him one. Okay. Sure. Thank you. Care. Okay. Sure. I kept the 2 copies, but my printer really crapped out, so I guess it kind of, hopefully you can read it. I'd be happy to email a better copy to anyone as well.
Well, give it to them.
Well, that was the email that I got, so, within it.
So just some history on this, just to refresh everybody's memory. So based on scheduling or lack thereof in the past, where programs were just going out and using Hiller and not scheduling with the village. Village records showed that field usage was almost non-existent. Fields were in rough shape. Johnsburg High School approached myself about them using the showcase field for varsity baseball and the Mustang Bronco field, which is on the southeast corner, for varsity softball. So we, had a lot of discussion, came up with a plan to meet halfway, do $12,500 worth of work, and Ken Calhoun donated some labor to do some work out there to prep things, remove the sod infield from that Pony Mustang field, or excuse me, Mustang Bronco field, right?
Yes.
Sam Lesniak and I, the varsity baseball coach, met with Joe Meyer and Terry Smith.
Terry Smith,
was
I
the
believe,
president
yeah.
at the time. Joe Meyer was and still is the VP.
Correct.
They told Sam and I at the time they did not need the field. Our records here at the village supported that they didn't need the field. So we all felt comfortable moving forward. So fast forward, the work gets done, there's more kids at the Mustang Bronco level than previous years, right?
Yeah, if I may then, yeah, we have 3 pony teams this year, which is very rare. Usually only have 2, so that's a nice number to have. And then Bronco level is 2, which is normally 2 or 3, so that's a normal amount there. But yeah, we do have a lot more kids this year at the pony level.
And one thing that wasn't communicated at that meeting that Terry and Joe and Sam and I had was the mound. You know, I guess taken for granted, just didn't come up, but, you know, in the conversation, you know, basically Joe and Terry felt it would still be there, we could do additional pegs, which we have done, softball's 60-foot pegs. The Mustang Bronco levels, you get to 70 and 80-foot pegs, so we've added those. But the mound really didn't come up. So I took it for granted, they took it for granted. We get to this point, and it's, wait a minute, there's no mound out there. So when JBBL, you know, I went to one of their meetings, they brought it up, and I said I thought the best thing to do would be to, you know, if they needed it, move forward, purchase a mound, and then they could come to, you know, the village and talk about splitting some costs on it.
Couple questions I have. School payment, when we agreed to let the school use it, half of this payment was going to come from the school. They didn't have the money last year, we fronted the money. Has that payment been made? Okay. Just a couple things that I think we want to make sure the school payment is made.
I know, excuse me, I'm sorry, I know that, in speaking with Kim about that recently, as recently as last week, she had said that she was in touch with, the school about that, but, you know, I don't know what the outcome was.
I know what percentage of the village residents are JBBO?
I don't have a concrete answer on that. I submitted it to Timothy when we requested field use so that we can get on the schedule for it. I could tell you 95% of them are all within school district. We probably have a couple kids from Richmond, a couple kids from McHenry, everybody else
Well, I don't want to be,
is within the school
I
district. but-
certainly don't want to be unneighborly and not have other kids on our fields. That's not the point, but I think the point that I have is that it seems like, you know, just like the school district, okay, we did our share. I want to make sure they do their share. My question of even the mound is, okay, you have a $2,448 mound that we're buying in order to make it suitable for pony, right?
And 2 levels,
2 levels.
respectively.
Okay, 2
Yes.
levels, okay, which is great, and we're going to pay half of that now. Is that village property, or is that boys baseball league property?
Well, I would assume, like most assets, if you go in together as a group, would be some sort of agreement in terms of it being sold. I mean, basically, it's a mutual asset at that point where we're both paying half. So I would like to think that we'd come up with something that would be, you know, agreeable to both sides in terms of that.
Well, and, you know, I don't want to sound uncooperative, but my personal feeling on this stuff, that the work that gets done on village property, village field, and people that help donate to it because we let them use it, should be property of the village. And if we're going to pay for half the amount, I think that should be village property. You guys can discuss that.
That'd be my question about liability, if something would get hurt, and then you got half and half, and I mean...
We're liable anyways because it's our field. I'm sure of that.
We are, we do have
If they
insurance
look
as
at
well.
the field, the suit will still be dry.
Yeah.
Well, I understand.
That's just an opinion. I'm not trying to, you know, be unneighborly or unfriendly or anything else, but, you know, we front it for the school district. If that's great, that's the deal we made. But I think that improvements to our property should be, and we're letting them use it, we're not charging them anything to use it, should be property of the village.
I think you could relate it to, like the lights out here.
Okay.
Where, you know, White Lightning, folks got together, purchased the lights, but they belong to the village, right? So they purchased it, donated it to the village, so they belong to the village. Realistically, other than a couple times a year, the village flipping those lights on for celebration of the park and all, they don't get used by anybody other than White Lightning or now Northern United Football Club. You know, so I would agree with that on that, you know, where it'd be a donation to the village, you know, the half. But realistically, who else would ever use it other than JPL? JPL.
Probably realistically, you're right.
And the high school's not gonna use it.
Off-season, they might want to. Because what that is far better than what they're using indoors right now.
Oh, okay. Well, do you think, you know, like, it was brought up with Ted Justy, the athletic director does these semi-monthly meetings that youth groups all meet with him at the high school, so we were just at that last week, but last Thursday. I think they talked about a batting cage, and you guys sharing a batting cage that they have or something. And,
Yep, they've let all the levels go in there on multiple times this off-season. It was very nice.
yeah, and they're talking about, they brought it to me, wanting to put a batting cage up at Hiller again, something they would provide, but, you know, that you guys would be able to use as well. So I don't know, I just think it's kind of a, you know, we're all limited and.
No, I like the idea that everybody is sharing and getting along, and that's happening, that's all great. But I think your point of just like the lights and just like any improvement that's made for the village, on village property or on village grounds, and not only are we, it's not like we're using this, but we're getting asked to put half the bill, because of the improvements that everybody sat down and agreed to, and we got documentation on that, right? And, I mean, if it's a situation where JBBL just can't afford the $2,000, which, through my grapevine, I hear that they, very well could. I'm not trying to be uncooperative.
We are a nonprofit organization, respectfully.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not against it, per se, but I just want to make those points. I think that, you know, a lot of people, and I'm not trying to be unfriendly or unneighborly, I want people from all areas to play here and have a good time and use our parks. I just also want to be protected of it and not make a point that it shouldn't be, if this is a big group that's using it from all over, it shouldn't just be the Johnsburg taxpayers paying for it. You know?
Yeah, I think that's.
Cooperation.
Yeah. And that's kind of I mean, that's a conversation I've had with JBBL and with Northern United, and I think people understand that, you know, and at the same time, I think it benefits us, and hopefully when people come here, because all the youth organizations are bringing in people from out of town. You know, with Junior Skyhawks, people come anywhere from Plainfield to Kenosha.
That's great.
Yeah,
And
the
I'm
North
not
Shore or
against it.
whatever. Yeah, exactly, you know.
I think it's all great.
Yeah, so hopefully people come here and from all these different places.
I think we do have
Spend money.
a responsibility to go out protecting the village's assets and money, and that's all I'm bringing up, that's the only reason I'm raising those points.
Absolutely.
So do you have a recommendation, Tim?
I would like to see us move forward with it. I think what they do for the community is, only benefits the community. So I'd like to see us do that.
Okay. And as far as the property remains, JBBL's or the village?
I think it should be the villages, just like the scoreboard that was delivered for Junior Skyhawks today. That's gonna go up at Hiller, and that's gonna belong to the village, so,
I think we gotta think that way, just to be fair to all our organizations, like the soccer that put up the lights, you're putting up a scoreboard, and, you know, you're gonna have bleachers and a stand at Hiller, you're doing it in a very nice way. I think it should be all treated equally the same.
I agree.
Question for you, Tom. How would you do storage for, I mean, it's pretty big, right, Matt? So-
Yes, it is 8 by 10.
So where would it be stored? Would it be at
Well,
Hills, where it would be
we're-
stored or so, or is it gonna be village property? It's a little different story than, you know, it's only JBL and only that.
Yeah, that is a good question. So we're working on that right now. What the first idea is we're actually in contact with Home Depot to see if they might potentially donate to the JBBL one of those big push slide things, because we feel like it'll slide in there perfectly. Tom had said that we could use the storage facility there at Hiller, which of course we would absolutely need to be able to store it that way, because if you laid it flat, it won't work.
It'd go in the same area that JPL keeps their tractor out
And
there.
then are you doing some asset management?
Is there enough room for all that?
Yeah, that would be my next question, yeah.
I mean,
Well-
this is not gonna take up the whole storage area.
No, but,
It goes vertical then.
and if we clean up that storage area, and organize it, it'll certainly manage. That building needs a good cleanup and some organizing. So, yeah, I think if we can store it in there vertically, which is what we talked about, it'll be fine.
Yeah, not to beat a dead horse either, or not being neighborly, I think some of the organization is because of the people that use it. Should, it's a nice facility, it's a nice bathroom, it's a nice concession stand. If they're using it, they should have some pride and take care of it too.
And I think with the increased use, JBBL going out there and with the high school out there more frequently now, it's gonna be easier to maintain, because right now it's just been kind of unused space for people to stick cans of pop that, when there's cases of pop in there that we use all out, so there's, because there's a lack of use, there's no pride in it, but I think we get using it, it's gonna be a lot better than it.
Good. How long is this gonna last?
Minimum, I believe, was 5 years.
5 years?
Minimum was 5 years.
Well, these things are all over board, right, so I'm assuming that this is a fairly...
It's a fiberglass one, so it is lower when you do all the research on it. So we were hoping to spend less money, but then the problem was there were only 6-inch rises to get one for like $1,200 to $1,800, and that's really more what we were trying to hit. Then there wasn't the 8-inch rise of what is the correct height. So then we did some more research, and really what we got for the 2250 was the cheapest of about 4 different vendors for the same one, and it was still lower spectrum in terms of cost. I mean, some of these are pretty outrageous, so at the $8,000. But, so, we tried to also be very cost effective.
Lifespan of them all the same, pretty much, or?
No, the fiberglass lasts longer, and this one is fiberglass. And we've already used it in one game, and it went very well. From a safety perspective, we want to make sure kids are playing on it during the game, you're pitching, there's no problem going right or left off the mound for a ground ball or pop-up or whatever you have to do. So it went real well the first pony game that we had, that we used it up at Hiller last Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay. So that's your recommendation, huh?
Yes.
Okay. So Tom's requesting that the bill, or motion, or whatever we're gonna call this, is this a motion, I guess? We should have a motion, Tom, you wanna make a motion, and
Yeah, make a
tell us what
motion.
your motion is?
I'd make a motion that the village reimburse JDBL for one half of the invoice, and that the pitching mound would be village property.
In fairness, I would have to talk to the other people on the board. I don't feel like I wasn't prepared for that. as part of the deal, so I apologize for that.
No,
But
that's
I,
okay.
but I
We
do need to
understand.
make sure that that's okay with everybody else from our perspective. We're gonna have a meeting next week.
We can pass it and under that, under that
The contingency, okay.
Okay, if that's okay with you,
Well,
and you don't have to go back and forth like a...
I would appreciate that, sir, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion by Tom, seconded by Josh. Any further discussion on the motion or questions for this gentleman? Poor guy comes there and has to put up with all this stuff. We appreciate it. I know it's not easy.
Told me to be out here in 5 minutes.
Yeah? I'm glad.
I'm not gonna hold you to that.
Okay. Okay. No further discussion on the roll. Trustee Hutchinson? Trustee McAvoy? Trustee Curry?
Aye.
Trustee Hagan?
Aye.
Trustee Clemson? Motion carried.
Thank you for your
No, thank
consideration,
you for
appreciate
your-
it.
Yeah, thank you. Committee reports. Now, I'm sure somebody's got something that they would like to report. I know. Okay. Trustee Curry.
Hopefully I get it all. Well, a couple things. As I mentioned, the Junior Skywalk scoreboard that was delivered today. So that is currently being stored in the concession stand over there at Hiller Park. We've got steel being donated to support that by Knoll up in Spring Grove on Route 12 there. And a licensed electrician who's with the program has volunteered to wire it. And talking to Tim later on about the mounting of it and all, because we'll have to dig piers and, you know, we have all the specs on it and stuff, so. Also, Chapel Hill Golf Course, one of our football moms, Michelle Bate, she has 2 sons, they live up in Running Brook. Her older son's all about football, her younger son likes some sports, but doesn't really like the contact. He enjoys golf, so she came to me and asked me about, you know, doing something for youth golf. So Michelle and Jill McAvoy have been talking. They've talked to, I think it's Kathy at Golf Visions, up at Chapel Hill. And Michelle's been in touch with the JHS golf coach. Bring up the notes here, but what they've come up with so far is a cost of $10 per player. And they could play anywhere from 5 to 9 holes, depending on what they wanted to do. You know, so from the sounds of it, then we certainly have more to hammer out. But basically, a huge golf program to be done at Chapel Hill throughout the summer. You know, probably play once or twice a week, I imagine.
Just for your record, $10 is part of the contractual agreement with the management company that the youth will be $10. That's, so they don't have to hammer it out unless they can do better than that for a golf program.
Yeah, exactly. And the schedule and all has to be finalized.
It would be basically kind of like a clinic that this coach is going to run,
Right.
multiple age groups,
Yeah, it would be focused on it.
multiple weeks.
The young man who kind of spurred all this is, I think he's 9 now. So he started young.
Well, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Trustee Hagan's probably gonna get involved.
All those guys have had time to golf a lot.
Yeah. I like golf, so I do.
Trustee McAvoy, Trustee Hagan, Trustee Clemson.
Nope.
That's just the name of it.
Nope.
Okay. Anything else, Tom?
July 28th, we don't have enough events, so, we're gonna start up a new one. So we had our first, committee meeting with our additional members. The first meeting, we held everybody together, event side and parks side. But Scott Thornton, one of our new members, he had actually brought this up a few months back with me, do a barbecue, type event up at Hiller. Similar to what they do in McHenry, but, which Scott had participated in the past. To paraphrase, or put words in his mouth, I guess, he kind of lost its feeling, where it kind of gotten very commercial and grown. He's thinking for our community, doing something smaller for guys like myself that have some nice smokers in their backyard and want to go out and compete against some other guys. And see
I think what, wasn't Scott's concern that the cost got very expensive?
Yeah,
The
and I don't
entry fee
remember.
was like really expensive. and
Yeah.
When I talked to him at that time, yeah, that it was, you know, it started out as a real close community type cook-off type thing, and then all of a sudden, the fee to get in it was $150 or something ridiculous.
You said guys were rolling in from out of state with big setups, and so we're thinking local. We're thinking maybe the Lions want to come out there and hang out with the trailer and some kegs, and maybe we'll get a little music or something and just make a fun day of it. No, Hiller.
So this would be at Hiller Park,
Yeah, we're looking at July 28th.
5/28?
July
I was
28th.
gonna say, I got it down. 5/28, you guys are pushing it.
No.
Okay. Any questions for Tom on that, on our objections to that? Sounds like a great idea. Is that free food then when you cook it?
Well, we're gonna talk to the health department about all that good stuff, but,
That will be your challenge.
maybe free for a few judges.
Kevin,
Very
you
good.
got anything you raising your hand?
I just want to be a judge.
Volunteering.
Public Works, basically, these guys have been out flushing hydrants and doing their spring thing, and everything's been pretty quiet ever since we got through the snow and freezing rain and all that kind of stuff. Fortunately, not for me, I was out of town, so. But I was talking to Davey.
Didn't even miss it, did you?
That's about it. Not much going on. Public Works.
Mary Lou, anything you want to
Reviewing chapter 10 and 11.
And I'll add one thing, Tom Otto's been out and doing some upgrades on our telemetry that goes to the RAS, you know what that stands for?
Return activated sludge and waste activated sludge.
So, they're in the pits.
I remember a couple of past questions.
Josh, anything to add, or?
We're just, our committee's working on marketing materials. We do have a new EDC page to the village website. At this point, it's pretty basic, but it's out, it has some information, so we're looking to expand on that. And then we're also looking at putting together just some overall village marketing materials for potential development. People just learning about the village, things like that.
Okay, any questions for Josh? I know.
I got the stack in front of me, you know.
Stack of paper now, are you gonna talk all that in there?
No, we're just gonna hand it out tonight. So here's the start of the budget. So next meeting will be the big presentation. So, the finance committee had a chance to look over it, and this is what they approved, and I think about it, we were looking at some more stuff today and stuff too, but I think we have a balanced budget, so, you know, let me know if you guys have any questions, please contact me.
We get to see it.
What's that? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
You have a what? A balanced budget?
Balanced budget, believe it or not, we have a balanced budget.
It's good thing it is. I don't think I'm gonna go-
It is, too. We have money going to reserves, too, we have everything.
We're very balanced.
Very, yeah.
You know, I don't know if anybody else saw it, but, and I wasn't sure where we stand, but the Herald had 18 communities with their
Yeah,
debt per capita. And I don't know if anybody else saw that, but
Yeah, I saw.
there were some communities where it was $3,000 per resident.
Mhm.
and then on the low end was $8, for the top 18. So we didn't make that list,
Northern Township.
right? You notice that?
We try to be frugal.
Did you
so-
see the letter to the editor?
I don't think, oh, I don't know. I think because I saw one where we were right in the middle.
Right in the middle?
We were?
We were.
This,
That wasn't the one in the Herald.
Harold didn't have us on it.
I don't know, I didn't see it.
It's probably a good thing.
Somebody wrote a letter to the editor today and said that basically it wasn't really fair because they're talking about some rural areas that still have a lot of miles per road.
Oh.
And
So the other
cost
townships,
per capita was not really, it wasn't a good norm to,
were the other townships on there, but on McHenry?
Yeah.
Nunda, was Nunda on there?
yeah,
Another township.
Yeah, Nunda Township, I think, was listed on there.
And Johnsburg wasn't listed.
Johnburg and McHenry Township were not listed. City of McHenry was, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, that's okay, Tom, no, I appreciate it. But any other questions, please let me know. The committee spent a lot of, we were having meetings every 2 weeks, so we spent a good amount of time looking at this. So Kim did a wonderful job too, putting it all together, so both thanks to Bud and Kim, and we'll have the presentation next week ready to go, so it'll be the slideshow, and, please let me know if you guys need anything else.
So that will be on the 15th?
The 15th, that's correct, so the 15th will be Bud's presentation.
Okay. So, well, I said it would be really a quick meeting tonight, and she's back from her trip. Anybody else have anything else? Any new business, old business, anything else they want to discuss? With there being none, can we have a motion for adjournment?
So move it.
Motion by Kevin, seconded by Trustee Curry. On the roll, Trustee Hunstein, Trustee Hagan, Trustee Curry, Trustee McAvoy, Trustee Hutchinson. Motion carried.
Aye, aye.
Full session.
Trustee Slumstein, Dodge Durango,